The phone rang, slicing through the quiet of my study. It was late, almost midnight. The kinda late where a call never brings good news. I was a Navy man, used to calls at all hours. But this felt different. My heart hammered against my ribs before I even answered. "Is this Mr. Hayes?" The voice on the other end was calm, official. "Police." "Yes, this is he." "Mr. Hayes, I'm Officer Miller. There's been an accident. Your wife, Sarah, she was in a critical crash." The world tilted. My books, my desk, the half-empty mug of cold coffee, it all blurred into a meaningless swirl of color. Sarah. Critical crash. The words didn't connect. They were just sounds, sharp and painful, like broken glass. I could hear the officer waiting. A patient, practiced silence. He needed a response. He needed information. My throat was tight, a knot of pure dread. "She's Chisingok." S. I stammered, my mind racing, scrambling for the right words. How do you explain the impossible? How do you tell a police officer that your wife, the woman you love more than life itself, the woman he just told you was in a critical crash, couldn't be? I took a shaky breath. "Officer, my wife, she's standing right next to me." A beat of silence. I could almost hear Officer Miller frowning on the other end of the line. I turned my head, my eyes locking with Sarah's. She stood by the bookshelf, her favorite worn copy of Pride and Prejudice in her hands. She gave me that small, gentle smile that always made my world feel right. But her eyes were filled with a sadness so deep, it looked like the ocean at dusk. "Sir," the officer said, his voice now laced with confusion, a hint of suspicion. "We have her identification here, Sarah Hayes. The car's registered in your name." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure," I whispered, my gaze still fixed on my wife. She hadn't moved. She just watched me, her expression unchanging. The air in the room grew thick, heavy. It felt like I was breathing water. "Maybe you should put her on the phone, sir." I couldn't. How could I? I swallowed hard. "Officer, there must be some mistake. A terrible mistake. The woman in the vehicle matches the description on the driver's licenser. Brown hair, blue eyes, about 5'6". Every word was a nail in a coffin I didn't know was being built. I looked at Sarah, her long brown hair cascading over her shoulders. Her blue eyes pools of silent understanding. It was her. But she was here. She was asterisk. "Right here, asterisk. Sir, we need you to come down to St. Mary's Hospital. We need a positive identification." My hand trembled, the phone slipping in my sweaty palm. I'll be right there." I hung up without another word. The silence that followed was deafening. I looked at Sarah, my heart a frantic drum solo in my chest. "Sarah, what's happening?" She didn't answer. She just glided towards me, her movements impossibly smooth, like a memory replaying. She reached out a hand, not to touch me, but to hover just an inch from my cheek. I could feel a faint coolness, a whisper of air. Her sad smile deepened. "You have to be strong, James," her voice echoed, not in the room, but inside my head. It was her voice, but distant, like a call from across a vast, empty space. For me. Then, she was gone. Not like she walked out of the room. She just faded. One moment she was there, a solid, beautiful presence, and the next, there was only the empty space where she stood, the scent of her lavender perfume lingering for a second before vanishing into the stale air of my study. The drive to the hospital was a blur. My mind was a battlefield. One part of me, the logical part, the Navy man trained to assess and act, was screaming that I was losing my mind. Grief, shock, a waking dream. But the other part, the husband who knew his wife's soul, knew that what I saw was real. She came to say goodbye. At the hospital, the sterile smell of antiseptic and the hushed, urgent whispers did nothing to calm my fraying nerves. Officer Miller met me, his face etched with professional sympathy. He led me down a long, white corridor that felt like the final mile. A doctor, a kind-faced woman with tired eyes, spoke to me in gentle, clinical terms. Severe trauma. Did everything we could. ... The words washed over me, but I already knew. Sarah had already told me. They asked if I was ready. I nodded, a numb, mechanical movement. I stepped into the small, cold room, and there she was. The woman on the gurney. ... It was her, my Sarah. The same brown hair, the same delicate curve of her cheek, but she was still the light, the vibrant life that was so uniquely asterisk. Her asterisk was gone. The police had questions. Where was she going? Did she seem upset? I answered them in a fog. I told them she went out for a late-night drive, something she did sometimes to clear her head. I didn't tell them she was with me moments after the crash. I didn't tell them she spoke to me without moving her lips. Who would believe me? They'd think I was a grieving husband losing his grip on reality. Maybe. Primera agua. In the weeks that followed, I moved through life like a ghost. Friends and family surrounded me, their well-meaning condolences like a language I no longer understood. They talked about the accident, the tragedy. But for me, it wasn't just a tragedy. It was a mystery. A sacred, heartbreaking mystery. I'd sit in my study for hours, staring at the spot where she'd faded away. Was it a gift? A final, impossible moment to brace me for the worst? Or was it a curse? A glimpse into something beyond our understanding that would haunt me forever. I've never told anyone the full story. To the world, I'm a widower, a Navy veteran who lost his wife in a car crash. But in the quiet moments, when the house is still and the night is deep, I know the truth. My wife was in a critical crash. And in the moments between her last breath and my first tear, she came home one last time to say goodbye. She was a sailor's wife. After all, she knew how important it was to see your loved one home safe, even if it was just for a moment. And that final, impossible visit is the anchor that keeps me from drifting away completely. This story was a difficult one to share, but I felt it needed to be told. If it moved you or made you think, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever experienced something you just could unexplain? Thank you for listening.